hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving this past week and enjoyed your day with your friends, family, and loved ones. I hope you truly had a good Thanksgiving. I know I did, and I hope you certainly did as well. Those of you that have been followers of my YouTube channel for quite some time, and there's several of you, and I'd appreciate it very much, more than I can ever tell you how much I appreciate that. But those of you that have followed my channel know that I've been a long-time West Virginia fan. Ever since I was a kid, I've been a West Virginia fan. Last year at this time, if you watched last year, and I don't do a lot on football and basketball. I don't talk about those items very often. But if you remember, and you've been following this, last year at this time, I sat down and talked about the West Virginia football season. And I pretty well said that I believe Neal Brown, head coach of West Virginia University, ought to be fired. And this year, well, and I kind of understood why they didn't, because they lost their athletic director. They needed to get a new athletic director, and by the time they hired one, it was much too late in the process to start the whole deal of going through finding a football coach. So I understand why they didn't do it. It doesn't mean that I think Brown deserved to be fired any less. But I sat there and watched that football game last night, and honestly, if West Virginia hadn't come back with 23 seconds and won that game, I believe Neal Brown should have been fired immediately after the game. Now, I happen to, since they won and they finished with 8 wins, I think it's pretty hard to fire him at this point. But I definitely think if he hadn't won that and he'd lost that football game last night, I believe he should be fired. West Virginia finished with 8 wins, and I'm happy about that, and I hope they make it to a decent bowl. I hope they win. But that, one thing I've noticed, it's kind of hard to fire a man with 8 wins. And when you told him that this was a make or break year for him, essentially, and so it's difficult to do. Now, if he chose to go somewhere else, it would not break my heart. And speaking of not breaking my heart, Dana Holgorsen, who was the last head coach at West Virginia, I understand got fired today. I have no love for Dana Holgorsen. I don't feel a bit sorry for him being fired. He didn't like the state of West Virginia. He didn't like the Mountaineers. He didn't act like he wanted to be there. And honestly, he done nothing but cause him trouble, left him with empty shelves, and I just don't believe the man was ever worthy to be a coach at West Virginia University. I don't believe he liked the state. I don't believe he liked the people. I don't believe he liked their traditions. And I just have no use for Dana Holgorsen. So he's out looking for a job right now. And look, I'm not wishing anything bad on Dana. Let's be clear about this. It wouldn't be Christian of me to turn around and wish anything bad on him. So I won't do that. I will, however, wish that Dana Holgorsen, and because I'm not going to wish anything bad on him, I'm wishing he has the same opportunities in life that I have had. I wish him to work in the same plants. I wish him to work the same hours. I wish him to have the same bosses, and I wish him to work for the same pay. That's what I will wish for Dana Holgorsen, that he finds a career and has the exact same opportunities in life that I've enjoyed. That's what I want for Dana Holgorsen in 2024. But I'll get off that for a minute. But I've noticed sometimes, and I believe for a long, long time, that football teams, and I've seen this with West Virginia over the years, I believe a lot of things in the course of the season balance themselves out. We lost a game to Houston this year, coached by the aforementioned Dana Holgorsen, who was fired today, by the way. Did I mention that? And we lost that game. We won, and we got ahead at the last second, and then they threw a jump ball that Neal Brown just flat out was stupid. He had a 6'7" tight end that should have been down there jumping for that ball. There was no reason to lose that game, but we lost that game in the last seconds. And last night we won that game basically with 23 seconds left in the game. So it kind of proves my theory all along that things balance out in the course of a football season. Maybe you lose one game you should have won. You win one game you probably should have lost. And we probably should have lost. West Virginia probably should have lost that game last night. And they definitely should have won the game they played with Houston. But those things, I tend to believe that things like that do balance out in the season. So I think Neal Brown should get another chance. I hope they win the bowl game. I always root for West Virginia, but I'm still not sold on Neal Brown yet. And he did win 8 games this year, so I'm not calling for him to be fired like I did last year. But this West Virginia should be in there for fighting for a Big East, a Big 12 championship next year. And if they aren't, some heads ought to roll in that coaching staff. And about the game yesterday, those 2 touchdowns by Reese, kickoff returns. The guy that coaches our special teams weren't that special, and they stunk yesterday. And there's no excuse for one after that first touchdown run back. You shouldn't get another one, especially one where he wasn't even not even a person. He didn't even have to break a tackle. That was ridiculous. And so our special teams coach, who is also linebackers coach, which means I don't want him fired because I believe the linebackers have done excellent work for West Virginia, but their special teams coach, that they need to give those duties to someone else or hire someone specifically to do them, because that shouldn't happen like that. I'm happy West Virginia won. I'm a West Virginia fan through and through. I love West Virginia. I've loved them ever. I was born there, and I've loved them ever since I was a kid. My dad taught me to love them, and I've been a West Virginia fan as long as I can remember. So I'm just going to talk about that a little bit. No, I don't believe Neal Brown ought to be fired. He won 8 games this year, and that's a vast improvement from last year. But we need to get in the bowl game. We need to win it. Neal Brown needs to try to keep most of the players he's got, not let them get away in the transfer portal. But those are the things I care about. And I try to talk about things on this thing that I care about. And I hope some of them you care about them too. But I don't spend every week talking about sports. But I did care about that game a lot yesterday. And I care about West Virginia football all the time. And I just thought I'd share that a little bit with you and my feelings on the season that was. And I can't say I won't maybe come back and speak a little bit about it after the bowl, but I wanted to talk about that and talk about West Virginia. And I thank you for stopping in. Bye now.